Hey friend, here's an email quite a while back from Jared at J&J Acres, which is a channel and website I highly recommend. He says, "Howdy, Paul Mac. I was wondering about your chainsaw mill. Are you happy with it? I am thinking about investing in one and would love any opinions and or suggestions you might have. Thanks." Let me just go over the pros and cons of milling lumber with a chainsaw attachment. First, I'm going to give you the cons. Obviously, you use a fair amount, a good amount, a large amount of gas and chain oil. And chains as well. You're going to go through a number of chains. You're going to use them up, sharpen them until there's nothing left. I try to squeeze every bit out of that chain that I can, by the way. Files, you're going to need chainsaw files, obviously. And occasionally you're going to need a new bar. I got to where at one point I'd set into the wood with the Alaskan, and it just wouldn't go. And I would resharpen the chain. I said, "What's happening with this? It's not going." Finally, I realized, well, it's the bar, you idiot. You know, the bar had worn so much that when the chain can wiggle too much, it'll get in there and it'll just freeze up. It won't go through. So getting a new blade, you might go through a blade or two, you know, if you got a fairly large project to work through. That's another expense. Another con is and this is probably the most obvious thing, the kerf of a cut. When a saw cuts through wood, there is the space that it takes for the saw to get through that. That is called the kerf. How wide a space that blade leaves when it cuts the blade or chain or whatever you're using cuts through that wood. And obviously with a chainsaw that's got a 1/4 inch or so blade, you're going to have a 1/4 inch kerf. Well, that's a lot of wood that comes out. Within a big log, you know, a 1/4 inch, you know, 4 passes is going to be the thickness of a board. You could have had an extra board in there. So you're going to end up with more wasted sawdust, but, you know, is it really wasted? You can use that, put it on the floor of your chicken house, put it on your milking stall when you're milking the cow for a cleaner area. So you can, you know, put it in your compost pile if you want to. You can use that sawdust. It's just you're not going to use it in a board. Know what I mean? The last con I'll mention is the sharpening. You're going to have to sharpen an awful lot. Probably, it seemed like if I were cutting a 12-foot, 8-foot board, whatever, after about every 5th or 6th pass, it seems like my saw would need touching up. That's when you stop and you refile and get it going again. I mean, you can push it, but most of the time it's not worth it to push it. It's best to just stop, get your chain all sharpened up again so that you can keep going efficiently. But having said that, as a con, you're going to sharpen a lot. It really becomes a pro because you're going to get really good at sharpening a chainsaw. I can practically guarantee you're going to become an expert chainsaw sharpener. And that's a good thing. Another pro is the independence, and I love this. When I built my first barn in Tennessee, we logged this was hardwood, we logged my woods with Belgian horses. That was a great experience. Pulled the logs out, and I paid the man who had the horses, I paid him with logs, I paid the mill with logs to mill the wood, and then paid to have those brought back to the house. But and that all sounds like a great deal, but everything required me waiting on somebody else to do something. Timing, you know, where's the guy that's coming to help me skid these out of here? Where are his horses? Who's going to help me load them onto his truck? Who's going to take them to the mill? The mill has to have time to do it because they've got a business to run. And then getting them back to my place. It requires other people. And that's not always conducive to my time because you're waiting for something to be done. So with a chainsaw mill, one of the beauties of it, one of the pros of it is that it's your mill, you've got it. You could take this simple stuff, throw it in the back of your truck, and go right out to where the tree was growing, cut the tree, and mill your lumber right on the spot. And then it's much easier to bring back lumber that's milled than it is to bring back big fat logs and take them to a mill somewhere. So the convenience is just wonderful. That's one of the great things about having a chainsaw mill. Another benefit to the chainsaw mill is the length of lumber you make, the length of log you need to cut. For instance, when I was building this workshop, my walls, my wall boards, 1-inch boards, are only 7 foot tall. So I didn't need to cut an 8-foot board. Otherwise, I would have been wasting about 12 inches. So knowing that bit of information beforehand, I went out into the woods and I cut my log at about 7 foot 3 inches. Give a little bit on either side just for some variance there, and you will have not wasted as much wood. So if you need 6-foot boards, cut you a 6'3" log. If you need 5-foot boards, cut you a 5'3" log. You end up wasting a lot less and getting exactly what you need. That's a benefit. So those are the kind of the ins and outs, the pros and cons, the benefits, the not so great things about running a chainsaw mill. I hope that helps a lot. Maybe you'd like to join in the discussion about chainsaw mills, or maybe you got a question about just anything. Leave it in the comment section below. If it's a good question, we'll put it on the show one day and we'll talk about it together. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and please share these videos on your social media with other farm-minded folks. It really does help a lot. Until next time, I'm Paul Mack. We'll talk at you later. Colin Munoz 4494. Dude, you rock! Exclamation point. I just moved out onto a little slice of heaven and have been building all kinds of good things with an Alaskan chainsaw mill. I have learned so much about how to improve my property from your videos. I'm about to do the same exact design for hay storage and woodwork. Keep it up, Paul Mack. Looking for more tips. All right. Rock on, Colin Munoz 4494.